I was never close to my father. Not really. Not in the way that daughters are supposed to be. But I never thought he'd erased me completely growing up. My father, Rick, was the kind of man who treated fatherhood like an obligation, rather than a privilege he provided. Sure paid the bills, made sure there was food on the table, but love, warmth, affection. Those were things I only read about in books when my parents divorced. I was 13. My mother and I stood in the doorway, watching him pack his bags like he was checking out of a hotel rather than leaving his family behind. "You can visit anytime," he said casually. Like it was a suggestion, not a promise, but he never visited me. The calls became fewer, the excuses more frequent. Work is busy, maybe next weekend? I learned not to expect him. I should have been used to the disappointment. I should have known better. But nothing prepared me for what happened the day I logged onto Facebook. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon I had just finished. Cleaning my tiny apartment, one I had worked so hard for on my own without a single bit of help from him. I stretched out on my couch, scrolling through my phone, mindlessly liking pictures of acquaintances. Until there it was a wedding photo, his wedding photo. Rick standing beside a woman I had never met, grinning like he had just won the lottery. Her dress was elegant champagne, colored the kind that screamed expensive. She held on to him like they had been together forever, and standing right next to them were two teenagers. The caption, "My new family, feeling blessed." My breath caught in my throat, my new family. I blinked. Maybe I read it wrong, but no. There it was plain as day. A celebration, a wedding, a life-changing event I hadn't even known about. I clicked on the album, dozens of pictures, the ceremony, the reception, a cake speeches dancing, everyone smiling, everyone except me because I wasn't there. I wasn't even invited. My stomach churned my fingers. Gripping the phone so tightly, my knuckles turned white. I scrolled down faster now, as if searching for some kind of mistake, some sign that I had imagined it. But the only message I found was one from a distant cousin. "Congrats, Uncle Rick, so happy for you and your beautiful family. Beautiful family." Like I had never existed. A sharp, cold rage spread through me. He had replaced me. I should have seen it coming a few weeks ago. He had called me for the first time in months. The conversation had been strange. "Hey kiddo," he had said, using AK name that no longer fit. "I just wanted to let you know I'm getting married, nothing big, just a small celebration, just the two of us. Just the two of them." I had swallowed down my hurt and told myself it wasn't a big deal. Maybe it was a quiet courthouse wedding. Maybe it really was small, nothing fancy. But this wasn't small. This was planned, organized, and full of people. People who mattered to him. People who weren't me. The betrayal hit me like a punch to the gut. My own father had thrown a wedding and deliberately excluded me, but not her kids, not his new stepchildren. No, they got front row seats, they got cake and laughter and family. I felt the tears sting, but I refused to let them fall. Not for him, not anymore. I took a shaky breath, forcing myself to think, what now? I could ignore it. Pretend I hadn't seen it, pretend I didn't care. But I did care. And if he thought he could replace me so easily, erase me like an old photo in a forgotten album, he was about to learn that I wasn't so easy to forget. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. It wasn't just that he had gotten married, it was that he had chosen to erase me. There was only one way to find out why I pressed. Call. The line rang once, twice. Then Tessa. His voice was calm, casual, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just cut me out of his life and replaced me. "Hey, Dad," I said, keeping my tone steady. "Congratulations!" There was a pause. The kind of pause that told me he hadn't expected me to know, hadn't wanted me to know. "Oh, thanks, kiddo. The same nickname he used when I was little, when I still thought he was the kind of dad who cared. I saw the pictures. I continued letting the weight of my words settle. Looked like a beautiful ceremony. Must have been nice to have your whole family there. Another pause. This one longer. "Tessa, I thought you said it was just the two of you." I cut in my voice, sharp. "Now that's what you told me, right? Small, just you and her, it was small," he said quickly, almost defensively. "Just a few close friends and her kids. Her kids, not his kids, not me, so her kids got to be there, got to celebrate with you, but your actual daughter, your own blood, didn't." He exhaled loudly, a familiar sound. The sound he made when he didn't want to deal with something. "Tessa, listen, I didn't think you'd want to come." I blinked. "You didn't think I'd want to." "Come?" My voice shook now, not with sadness, but with pure disbelief. Since when do you get to decide that for me it wasn't like that? He muttered. I didn't want things to be awkward. Your mother and I. Oh, don't you dare bring Mom into this, I snapped. She has nothing to do with your decision to leave me out. That was all you, Silence. I could almost hear the gears turning in his head, searching for a way out, a way to justify the unjustifiable. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. Finally, his voice softer. I've moved on, Tessa. I have a new family now. There it was, the words that confirmed everything I already knew. I was no longer a part of his life, right? I said my throat tight, so when you said my new family on Facebook, you meant it literally. I'm not in the picture anymore, am I? That's not what I... No, I get it, Dad. My voice was cold now, emotionless. You replaced me, and that's fine, but don't expect me to act like it didn't happen. He sighed again. Tessa, I don't want to fight with you. Neither do I said. But I want you to remember this moment, because it's the last time you'll ever get to pretend that what you did was okay. Tessa? I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt clear-headed for the first time in years. This wasn't just about a wedding. This wasn't even about me not getting an invitation. This was about years of neglect, finally catching up to him. He thought I would just accept it, that I would move on and let it go, like I had every other time he disappointed me. But not this time. This time, he was going to feel exactly what it was like to be shut out. This time, I had the power, and I knew exactly what my next move would be. I wasn't the type to seek revenge, or at least I never thought I was, but as I sat in my apartment staring at the wedding photos I hadn't been a part of, something inside me hardened. This wasn't just about a single betrayal. It was about years of being treated like an afterthought, like I was. Nothing more than a loose end from his past life. Well, he was about to learn that I wasn't so easy to forget. I took a deep breath and started typing "Congratulations on your wedding, Dad. Wishing you and your new family all the happiness in the world. Since I wasn't invited, I'll celebrate from afar, just like you always made me do, growing up. Hope your stepkids appreciate the father they got, since I never had one. Cheers." I hovered over the post button, my heart racing. I wasn't usually this bold, this confrontational, but something about the way he had wiped me out of his life made me feel like I had nothing left to lose. And then post within seconds, notifications started rolling in, likes, comments, shares. Then came the messages. Some were from family members who had no idea I wasn't invited. Wait, you weren't there. Tessa, is this real? Why would he do that? I thought it was just a small ceremony. He made it seem like no one was there. Others were from his side of the family trying to justify it. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe he thought you'd be busy. Don't air family drama online. It's not a good look. And then the notification I had been waiting for. Rick commented on your post. I clicked on it so fast I almost dropped my phone. Tessa, can we talk? Please call me. I stared at the words. Just hours ago, I had been nothing to him now. Suddenly I was important enough to control the damage for the first time in my life. I had his full attention, but I wasn't finished yet. I clicked on his Facebook page and scrolled through the wedding photos. Again, the smiling faces, the picture-perfect moment, the family I wasn't part of. And then I saw it, a comment from his boss. What a beautiful family. Rick, wishing you and your kids all the best, kids plural. His boss thought I was part of this, that we were a happy, blended family. That was the final straw. I replied directly under the comment. Actually, I wasn't invited to the wedding. Rick decided his stepkids were more important than his actual daughter. Just thought you should know. A public reply. A message that couldn't be ignored. I could almost hear my father's reaction, the tension in his jaw, the way he'd rub his temples, trying to figure out how to contain the mess he'd made. But this time there was no hiding it. Minutes later, my phone rang. Dad. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then, Voma, a text popped up immediately after. Tessa. Please call me. We need to talk for once. He was the one chasing me, and I wasn't ready to make it easy. I put my phone down, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Power my dad had spent years pushing me aside, treating me like an obligation he could ignore. Now he was going to find out exactly what it felt like to be left out. And I wasn't done yet. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, texts, calls, voicemails, all from him for years. I had been the one waiting for him to notice. Me to reach out, to make an effort. And now he was the one desperately trying to get a response. I let him stew in it, but I wasn't done yet. Because if my father thought he could bury me in the past, erase me like an old mistake he was about to find out, I was very much still here. And I had one more card to play. It was 2 days later when I finally picked up his call. "Tessa?" He sighed in relief, his voice breathless, like he'd been holding it in. "We need to talk. Do we?" I said flatly because I figured you'd be too busy with your new family to care. He groaned. "Come on. You know that's not fair." Fair, that word. Nearly made me laugh like he had ever been fair to me. Enlighten me, Dad. What exactly isn't fair? That I wasn't invited to your wedding, that you never even planned to tell me, or that I found out on Facebook like some distant acquaintance? He hesitated. I could hear him pacing on the other end. "Look, it wasn't intentional, Tessa. I didn't mean to hurt. You—" I let out a sharp breath, "Then explain it to me." Dad explained why I wasn't good enough to be there, but her kids were front and center. He was quiet for a long time when he finally spoke. His voice was tired because I didn't want to deal with it. My stomach twisted. He didn't want to deal with it. Deal with what I asked. My voice dangerously calm. "I knew it would be complicated," he admitted. "I knew. There were feelings, history. I thought maybe if I kept it small, kept it separate, I wouldn't have to juggle everything. I wouldn't have to make you and your stepmom feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. That word hit me like a slap. "So let me get this straight," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "You didn't invite me because you didn't want things to be awkward for her. It wasn't just about her, Tessa. Then who was it about? Because it sure as hell wasn't about me." Silence. That was the moment I knew he hadn't just forgotten me. He had deliberately chosen to exclude me. Because it was easier. Because it was convenient. Because I didn't fit into the picture-perfect life he was building. Wow, I breathed. I expected a bad excuse, but this is pathetic, Tessa. Please know you listen to me, for once. I gripped my phone, my knuckles white. You have spent years making me feel like I don't matter. Like I was just some reminder of a life you wanted to forget. And you know what? Fine, you wanted me out of the picture. Congratulations, you got your wish. But don't you dare call me now acting like you care. Tessa, that's not what I want. It's exactly what you want. I snapped. You just didn't expect people to see you for who you really are. He exhaled heavily. I could hear the weight in his breath, the frustration he wasn't used to me standing up for myself. "I don't know how to fix this," he admitted. "You can't silence goodbye, Dad." I hung up, and this time I meant it that night. I got another notification. Rick deleted his wedding photos. I smirked too little too late, because no matter how much he tried to erase the proof, the damage was already done. For the first time in my life, I felt free no more, waiting for him to call, no more, hoping he would finally see me as his daughter, no more pretending that his absence didn't hurt. I had drawn a line in the sand and I wasn't looking back, but life has a funny way of testing your resolve, because just when I thought I was done with Rick, he came crawling back. It started with an email. I wasn't expecting it after our last conversation. I assumed he would disappear, bury himself and his new family, and pretend I never existed, just like he had always done. But the subject line made my stomach twist. "We need to talk." I hesitated before opening it. "Tessa, I know you're angry and you have every right to be, but I don't want to leave things like this. I made a mistake and I should have handled things differently. Can we meet just once? I owe you that. Much, Dad." I stared at the word, waiting for something to change inside me. Some part of me had always longed to hear those words, to hear him admit that he was wrong, that he should have treated me better, but now that I had them, they meant nothing. I closed the email without responding. I had nothing left to say. The second time he reached out, it was through my mother. I was in the middle of folding laundry when my phone rang. I smiled when I saw her name pop up. "Hey, Mom, Tessa, honey, I need to talk to you about something." I immediately picked up on the hesitation in her voice. "What's wrong?" she sighed. "Your father called me." I froze and I said, already bracing myself, "He wants to see you." I closed my eyes, gripping the fabric in my hands. "Mom, no, Tessa, just listen." "No," I repeated, firmer this time. "You don't get it. He didn't just forget to invite me to his wedding, he chose to leave me out. He's been choosing to leave me out for years." She was quiet for a moment. I know, sweetheart, and I don't blame you for how you feel. I waited for the but I think he's scared. I let out a bitter laugh. Scared of what losing me. He already did, Tessa. People don't always realize what they have until it's too late. Maybe is finally starting to understand that I could hear the hope in her voice, the same hope I had carried for years. But I wasn't that little girl anymore, waiting by the window for my father to show up. Mom, I love you, but this isn't your battle. He made his choice and now he has to live with it. She sighed. I understand, sweetheart. I don't want you to have regrets. I won't, I said. And this time I meant it. A week passed. Then, too, I thought I was done with him, and then he showed up at my door. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted from a long day, when I heard the knock firm, familiar. My stomach twisted as I looked through the peephole. Rick, I hesitated. I could ignore him, pretend I wasn't home, but something in me, maybe curiosity, maybe a lingering shred of anger, made me unlock the door. I swung it open, my expression cold. What do you want? He looked older than I remembered. Tired MN down his once confident posture had shrunk like he had been carrying too much weight for too long, Tessa. He said, forcing a small, hesitant smile. Can I come in? I stared at him for a long moment. Then finally, no. Rick stood in my doorway looking smaller than I had ever seen him. The same man who once seemed so unreachable, so distant, now looked like a man who had run out of places to hide. Tessa, please just let me explain. I crossed my arms. I wasn't going to make this easy for him. Explain what I asked, my voice steady, that you didn't want me at your wedding, that you made an entirely new family and left me out of it, that I only mattered once. I made you look bad. He exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. He wasn't used to this version of me. I deserve that, he admitted. I know I. I raised an eyebrow that was new. Then why are you here? His shoulders dropped like he had finally realized there was no script to get him out of this. Because I lost you. He said simply for the first time, something about his voice sounded genuine. I don't know when it happened. He continued, shaking his head. Maybe after the divorce, maybe before that, but somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that you'd be fine without me, that you didn't need me, and I let that belief turn into an excuse. His words should have mattered years ago. They would have mattered, but now I wasn't sure if they changed anything, and the wedding I asked, was that just another excuse? He swallowed hard. That was a mistake, a big one. I should have wanted you there, Tessa. I should have fought for you, and I didn't. I know I can't take that back, but I just needed you to know that I regret it. I let his words hang in the air. Regret, that's all it was. Not love, not a desire to fix things. Just regret. And regret wasn't enough. So what now? I asked, eyeing him closely. You say your piece, and then what you want me to forgive? You pretend none of this ever happened? No, he said quickly. I know I don't deserve that. He hesitated, searching for the right words. I just don't want the last thing between us to be anger. I stared at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt nothing at all, because I had already grieved the loss of my father a long time ago. He was only now realizing what I had known for years. We were done. I'm not angry, I said, my voice calm. Not anymore. Relief flickered across his face, but I wasn't finished. But I'm also not interested in fixing this. His relief shattered. Tessa. Come on. No, I interrupted, shaking my head. You don't get to walk away for years and then decide you want back in when it's convenient for you. That's not how family works. That's not how love.